Hello and welcome to Industry Spotlight with Creative First. Our guest today is Vivek Lath, Managing Director, GoQuest Media. Vivek, welcome to this discussion with Creative First.
Thank you, Lohita.
You have identified Central and Eastern European stories as an opportunity. How do these stories appeal to audiences worldwide?
Well, the audiences are now getting warmed up with those stories. To be very honest, pre-COVID, there were very little about Eastern Europe that was actually distributed, or stories from that region were distributed in rest of the world. So very little was known about it, and in the last 3-4 years, audiences globally have warmed up to it now. There is still a lot to go. Those industries are evolving quite a bit. The production qualities are evolving quite a bit. So as they evolve and they start producing better and better, the acceptance of content from this region will start getting more and more across different countries.
What made you pivot to content from these countries?
Well, for us, it was a evolutionary division. Basically, we started our journey as a exporter of Indian content. And roughly by about 2017-18, we almost achieved the pole position in it. We were the largest independent distributor of Indian content by the time. For us, then the decision making was, how do we scale? What else do we do beyond Indian content? One thing was very clear: we never wanted to become producers. We never wanted to enter into production. We were very good with monetization, licensing content globally. So for us, the simple thought process was, where do we go next, where we don't have a lot of competition when it comes to distributors or other distributors? Also, where the service will be valued quite a bit. The tricky part in our business always is convincing content owners that we are the right partners for them. And for us, Eastern Europe was a great destination to start with, simply because they were not getting the right focus from distributors within Europe. Uh, they all wanted to work with a lot of Western European distributors, but for Western European distributors, that content was not really something they wanted to touch. Uh, Secondly, the production quality was improving quite a bit in that time. A lot of investments are made by individual governments in those countries, and we could see how the talent pool and overall quality was increasing at an exponential rate. So for us, it was a simple sort of rubric to say everything is fitting in place. This is a place where we can enter in and make a significant impact and establish ourselves. So from there on, we started and moved into Eastern European first with a Ukrainian show called Ruby Ring.
Right. What are some of the biggest challenges in bringing content from non-English speaking markets to global audiences?
Well, localization, of course, remains the first thing. You have to have the right localization partners when you take them to rest of the world to be able to translate nuances, stereotypes, and things that are very local to that region and need to be explained when you take them to global audiences of why something like this is happening. Um, and that acceptance takes time for people to come. So you have to have the right localization strategy and make sure that the quality is top notch. Uh, for us, then the bigger challenge, of course, was getting trial. We knew that if these shows are watched by the audience would want to know more. So if a Serbian show works, people want to know more about Serbian shows. The challenge always is to get the first eyeball, is to get the first confidence, is to get the first trust and say, please spend time, invest those 10 hours in watching these 10 episodes. I guarantee you, you won't regret it. Getting that commitment is always the most difficult challenge, whether it is audience or whether it is buyers in broadcast or streaming companies.
But what, made you focus on these markets?
Except for us, we knew that we can make an impact. For us, we knew we can make money on this. And lastly, for us, the whole process of selling by GoQuest was more hinged on telling stories more so than the popularity of the show. So one of the things we had when we started was we never had a top show in our portfolio. Um, and that slowly created a culture where as a licensing company, we always focused on stories as our our primary hook to sell. Um, and given that we didn't need to have something that is already popular in the market, we didn't need Squid Games of the world. Um, so from that point of view, it was easy for us. For us, it was all about what can scale, where can we make impact, and how easy it is to enter the market. Once those things were well established, we just took a leap forward.
GoQuest has placed titles like Civil Servant, Traitor, and like you said, Ruby Ring on major platforms such as Disney Plus, Hotstar, internationally on Telemundo.
Hmm.
What's the secret to building trust with both producers in Central and Eastern Europe and buyers worldwide?
But they all need eyeballs. They all need their content to be respected, placed at the right places. They need the reach. To be very honest, very few producers cared about money, at least the ones that we were working with. For them, it was the first time a content from that country was getting pushed out in markets that countries that they've never heard of. That's true. So as much as it was about licensing revenue, it was more about pride. And if we could bring that pride to those individuals, to those executives, to those people creating that content in those countries, I think it's just easy to work with producers. You just need to know what they're looking for. As long as that expectation is understood clearly between the two parties, it was simple.
You worked in content syndication, valuation, and acquisitions before founding GoQuest. How have those experiences shaped the way you approach the distribution strategy today?
Well, those experiences essentially built everything that we did at GoQuest. What I did at the company called Synergy Pictures back in the day, which was eventually morphed into Phantom, and it is back as Synergy now, um, was help me understand how really to think about audience and international markets. Um, so that shifted a lot. Working at that company gave me a even more, solid breadth of experience into how to take a certain story and sell the story. And we just ported all those learnings when we started GoQuest.
How do you see intellectual property ownership and monetization changing for independent producers and distributors in the coming years?
Well, they will start owning a lot more. They will start assuming a lot more if the will is there. The writing is very clear on the wall that the usual mechanism of revenue or funding that would come into content creation have dried up. It was coming from broadcasters, streamers, so forth. Again, I talk more from a very episodic show point of view. That's where our experiences is. So that money has dried up. Uh, Distributors and producers have to figure out their own way to make money. They can't just say, I will make this show for you. Whether that show or that content makes money or not is not my problem. At least I don't lose money. That won't happen. Producers will now need to have skin in the game. Distributors will now need to have skin in the game. And it's a forceful function at the moment. There is no other choice. Government funding has also dried up in many parts of the world, specifically Europe. And that will also force producers to sort of figure out their own financing models and their own monetization models. Uh, it's an evolutionary cycle, and I keep saying that producers will have to go through a very hard journey. But once they crack this, they get to own everything because now they don't need a third party to make money on their content. They can work directly, they can own those IPs directly, they can talk to audiences directly if they want to.
What shifts are you seeing in demand from broadcasters and streamers alike when it comes to international dramas? And are there any, genres or formats that are leading the way?
So we have very different sort of trends that we are seeing globally. There are trends that we see on YouTube which are directly with the audience and what the audience wants to see, and then there are trends that are largely driven by boardroom and content committee conversations in streamers and broadcasters. And of course, part of the decision is also what can scale for them. What we see clearly is that drama is going to become the mainstay across the world. It is already a mainstay across the world. It was just that the typical streaming content, which was doing those high flown crime thrillers, were winning the boardroom battles or the content committee battles, right? And drama content was not winning those in-company battles. However, on the audience side and the revenue side, drama is winning the battle, and the amount of money made on drama content is much higher than anything else, and it's more stable, to be very honest. So we do see a shift where if broadcasters and streamers want unit economics on their content, this is a genre they can't ignore. And microdrama has proved that you just dissect drama in different formats, you can make money.
Would you have some statistics to share with us?
Well, I don't have exact numbers to be very honest. And part of the reason is I've stopped tracking these numbers essentially because it's such a crazy evolutionary cycle. Every 3 months things are changing. So I've literally in the last 1.5 years, we've stopped looking at any statistics, any audience numbers or rather any industry reports to say whether they will stick long term or not. The only number that we keep looking at these days is microdrama being a $6 to $10 billion market. Again, I think it's a long speculation at the moment. Uh, Once the evolutionary cycle settles in, we'll know.
And do you see the popularity of microdramas, in the regions that you acquire content from? Or is this a new phenomenon in markets like us?
No, it's globally there. It is there. At least the push has started from an audience side. The acceptance is starting to begin overall. So I believe that micro drama as a category will stick around. However, I don't believe it will be a very large scale monetization category or opportunity for anyone doing it. I see micro dramas getting transitioned more into the branded content space and entering into the TikTok and the Instagram ecosystem as a content category, more so into the premium content ecosystem.
Since you specialize in the Central European markets, just wanted to understand, what is the difference in, the appeal for that kind of programming vis-a-vis a Korean, a Spanish, or, content from Western Europe, for example? Because you get all kinds of content today.
Right. So see, Spanish telenovelas, Turkish dramas, Korean content are the top. They are the penultimate of the drama category at the moment. Eastern European drama shows still have a long way to go to match up to what a Korean show or even an Indian show has to offer to the audience. Um, it's a new genre for them, and culturally, as you go further north in Europe, so one of the charts we use is how the emotional or the EQ quotient of people keep reducing. When you go down to the Mediterranean and countries surrounding the Mediterranean, they are more emotionally overt. Um, you can see the cultural difference, and that shows up in their content, whether it is folks from Spain or Turkey or even Greece or Serbia. You go further up north in Europe, let's say towards Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, the drama gets a little more dry. So they are very different, and they cater to slightly different kind of audiences.
What advice would you give to emerging media entrepreneurs in India who want to take local stories to a global stage?
Well, I would say first figure out your local market. Um, don't look at the shiny sides of the global market. We keep saying that the global market, one of the patterns that we've seen is global market or global audiences rather, they respond well to content that is heavily rooted in a certain area. So don't try to create something that you in your mind feel will work for global audiences. Global audiences are bombarded left, right, center with content from different countries. You don't have a chance to create something custom for them unless you have traction within your own local audience or whoever you are building this for. So keep that in mind. Don't have an identity crisis is what we say as distributors when you're creating content. Decide who that core subset of 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 people are and start from that point of view. Secondly, I would say it is very difficult to reach global audiences via the traditional licensing mediums. If you expect that your definition of reaching global audiences, I need to have my show on a streaming platform or a broadcaster, then you are in a then you're going to be disappointed. Go ahead, do your own localization, release your content on YouTube. Build your audience first. Educate them first. If let's say a specific uh, audience set from a country has never experienced Indian content, let's say to that extent, if you want them to experience Indian content, running behind the local broadcasters and local streamers there is a waste of time.
How do you see GoQuest evolving in the coming years?
Oh, it's evolving quite a bit. We are evolving almost every 6 months now. Finally, we have a very clear path. We will continue. So, about in 2024, we commissioned a Turkish drama called Kuma. And the strategy was very simple, that we know how to make money on content. What are the pockets available? So far, we've been working with third party producers and third party content owners as a pure play distributor. We have moved on to commissioning our own content and owning our own IP and selling that IP into a make to sell model. So it's very similar to what Applause does in India. The only difference is our buyer set is significantly more diversified. Our revenues are significantly more diversified. It's a risk mitigation mechanism that we decided to take. And that worked really, really well for us. In fact, the surprising thing is the show we produced last week, it was number one in Turkey. Um, and 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 the Turkish broadcast was the second window. We actually first released it on YouTube, and the broadcaster took it as a second window. And even with that, it was the number one fiction show in Turkey by rating. So that gave us a significantly large impetus to say we will now produce more and more of our own. We know exactly what the buyers and the audiences are looking for, and we will start investing in owning those IPs. So we've already commissioned our second Turkish drama. We are commissioning two Indian dramas as well. We'll continue to stick on drama as a category. That's what we know best. That's what we understand best. We don't wish to branch out into anything outside of fiction and drama as a whole, and continue to build a more global, audience drama platform. Will continue to stay as a B2B distributor with monetizing on YouTube, but we've started experimenting with building our own global drama platform. It will be a slow start for us. We're experimenting with revenue models. We're not going with the traditional SWOT, TWOT, AWOT models. We're trying some very different ways to monetize that content. Once we have so-called revenue PMF, is what we call it, we'll go out full on with the streaming platform of our own. So it's a slow and steady strategy. We're taking things very slow.
Thank you so much, Vivek. More dollars to you in dramas. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lohita.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.